Hi everyone. Here's a look at all the different pieces you can use to make a Playmobil Castle using the Steck system, which is the old system that was used up until the late 90s, early 2000s. And this is my favorite system for building Playmobil castles, and I think it's slightly complicated in some ways, and it took me some research to figure out what some of these pieces were for, like what their purposes were, and so that's why I'm making this video, just to help people who may not have a background in Playmobil, and also just anyone who's interested to see all the different things that are available to use for building a castle, and what you can do with them. So yeah, hope this video will be informative. And I'm going to start with the basics, although I guess this might get a bit messy. So over here I prepared a long wall using all the different types of wall pieces, and this one's a bit loose. And it's funny how this system is a little bit inconsistent sometimes. When some of these pieces, when they get worn, they're very loose, and sometimes they're just way too tough for kids, I think. I mean, me, I'm an adult. I can carefully pull these off if they're really stuck, and not break them, but I have some pieces that the kid who originally owned them, like they were just unable to do it without breaking them. And I guess it's a bit fragile, and that's part of the reason why it's discontinued for their normal castle sets. And yeah, so here we have just a plain wall, and here's one with an arrow window. Here's one with a small upper window, and here's one with a big one, and here's one with a big window that's kind of extended. Here's one with a door opening using the old type of connectors for the door that were just part of the whole assembly. And here's one using separate pieces, so you can actually take these off. You can push them out, and let's see if I can just carefully push this out. And this is just so much better, I think, because if you broke the old ones, then you don't have a door. Like, it's not gonna work. You can't do anything with it. Okay, there we go. So that's what that looks like. It's just a hole. And yeah, if you break these, you can replace them. Can't replace these. So yeah, that's definitely an improvement. And that's something that they definitely thought through. And this is what that piece looks like. Yeah. Anyway. And just to show you, yeah, you have these doors here, and you just snap them in like this. It's pretty basic. You just do this. And then you have one of these, or well, one each of these two. And you put one through the other. Let's see. And then you put that in here. And then you have a lock mechanism. And yeah, that's the same for both of these. These windows, they have, well, there's this thing that's very common. You just kind of push this in and it sits there. And there is a similar thing for this window. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those, and that's one of the few pieces I don't actually have that I can show you, but there's something similar to this. And then for also here, you have this frame here, and you have these two that fit into this frame. So you push this frame in like this. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. I don't want to break this. Okay, there we go. And then, oh, actually I forgot. I need to put this in first. And it's slightly broken, unfortunately. Here's a thing missing. But there we go. And this can open. And I don't know why, but this, I have several of these and they're slightly smaller than this yellow thing. So they don't really work. And I don't know why that is, but basically similar type of piece. If any of you know why that might be, you can comment that, but I think, well, that's also the reason why this thing is broken. This frame came with those that I have, and pretty much all those frames were broken, and I think it's because the kid who had it before tried to force those onto this and kind of broke off a lot of these. So yeah, if you know what that's about, you can comment, but I have no idea why they're smaller. Possibly the only thing I can imagine is that there is a separate frame that's a different size, but I haven't seen any of those, and I have several of these, like I said. So anyway, that's basically it for these. I'm now gonna just put them aside. Let's move over to the gates. So we have this basic gate. This is the old type, using, as you can see, these clutch things that are stuck to the mold. And here's a slightly newer one with those black pieces. And the same goes for this smaller gate. And they each have their own types of actual gate doors. This one has the similar lock mechanism, and then this uses these swinging doors, and you just put it like that. And I'm not gonna put that on, but here's a hole, and that's because you're able to put in one of these, and let's see here. Yeah, basically you just do that, and then you can lock the gate using one of these. So when you have a set, you can do that. I only had one of each here because this is full. So you can lock the whole gate using these. And as I get going, I'm going to remove these to make space. So yeah, I'm just gonna put these here. And then we have this gate. This is bigger, and this is different because it's part of the drawbridge. So what you do is you connect some of those wall pieces to the back here, and then you're able to put this sort of thing over there. And you see those holes there? That's where you can put a chain. You can put a chain through, and you have this whole pulley mechanism that sits up here using this. And actually I have another one here that's assembled with the chains, but I'm just going to show you that you have this piece, then you have the chains, and then you lock the chains in place using 2 of these, and that gives you this. Then you also have 2 of these to lock that in place. And you put the chains through there and through there. And then you have the actual bridge that you draw up. And you connect the chains to these by putting the chain through here and putting this through the chain, and then the chain pulls it up, or you pull the chain out, and this goes like that. But yeah, in order to do that you need to put the chain through this hole and then put this around the side of the chain, and then you just have the chain stuck here. But I'm not going to do that because you get the principle. I have a lot to go through here, so that's why I'm kind of moving through this. Oh, also, you have this piece that goes on top of this one here, and that's the same as on top of that extending window. Forgot to mention that, but anyway, that just sits there, and that's just for decoration. So yeah. Also, the way you get this part to stick here, or well, to be stuck, is by using 2 of these. You just push these in here, and of course when you do both you need to have it in place because it locks it in place. But let's see here. There it is. Yeah. So anyway, you just get another one of those, and then it's stuck. Then we also have these. There are 4 types of round tower pieces, and when you connect them with these that I used to make that long wall there, you make a tower, something like this. And this tower can be topped with one of these, for example, and you need to find the right position. You need to kind of spin it around until you find where it's supposed to go. And I'm having trouble finding this here. Maybe it's because I'm one-handed. Oh, there it is. Okay. And then there's this thing that goes on top. And then there's this thing and this. So yeah, that's basically a tower, and that's how you assemble it. Now, the special thing with towers is that you have these pieces to connect them to a main castle. So, for example, here we have part of a castle, and as you can see here, here's an extension, and that's because if you just count these, the lengths of these, this curved tower piece is not going to extend all the way here, but this is the length of one of these. So this is most easily illustrated using these floor pieces actually. So we have these perfectly square ones that you can put in corners or in square towers, and you have these extra long ones, and this goes all the way up here, and this only works because I have these two here to kind of extend this a bit further. And the one that's useful here is this one. So this piece is actually identical on both sides, unlike the rest of these floor pieces. And that's so you can, well, they only needed one mold when they did that. So you can put this around however you want. There's also these, and that fits especially for when you have something like this. You can just put this on here, and that works fine. But most of the time you'll be using these. You kind of have these trapdoors that you put together. Okay. There we go. So had this been completed all the way around, like that one, this would just sit here. And as you can see, it doesn't take these, so you can have it at the same time as you have this here, and also this little special thing here. You can do things like this and still have space for this. So they thought it through. You can do a lot of customizing with this. And also just when I have this thing, I'm going to show you how, if you put that here, you can use some of these to make a walkway. And that's useful. Also, talking about those, here's another pre-build that I have that's the length of, well, that. And if you have one of those and another like it, or one of these, you can make that gap filled with one of these pieces. And that just looks so much better. So yeah, that's those. And let's see here. We also have this type of trapdoor for a square tower, and it's a simple thing here. you just have that and that, and then you have this, which you put through the hole like this, and oh, you know, I should get a tripod or something so I can use both hands. But anyway, this trapdoor has a lever. When you push it, the trapdoor goes down. And also I should mention about this thing here. It has these holes that this one doesn't have, but are for putting a ladder through. So in your towers you can have several layers of these floors, and you can have ladders going through, and the ladders just sit like that, and that's very convenient. Okay, there's a difference between like a small difference between this thing here and this thing that's obvious. You have a round hole there, and that's, I don't know which came first, but you have both types. And what else? Oh yeah, a few different types of these long ones. So you have this, that's flat. You have this, that's like useful for, also you can put a ladder here and have people go through. This could be a murder hole above the gate, or by the gate. And there's also this thing that's a bit older, that's a bit more tricky to put on because you can't, you have to be straight above, because you have these things going, yeah, it's not hard to put on, but it's, I think it's even easier with one of these, where you can just easily, like, it's not as much here that's blocking this from going down, unless you have it perfectly straight. Then there's also this big floor piece, and when you have several of these, as you can see, they kind of, you can put them next to each other, because this goes into this and that into that. You can see how if you have several of these, you can just put them next to each other, and since you don't have double walls, like if they're gonna hang on to something, they need to be every other for it to make sense. So that was well thought out, that they made it this way. But you do need to think, when you build something using these, you need to think about how it's going to fit. And if you're combining with these other ones, you need to think about how, oh, this can't go over there, it needs to go over here. Or you can do something like this, you can put it this way, but not that way. And sometimes you need to think about that when you build the walls, and then when you put on these floors, you need to think about how it all connects in a puzzle. So so yeah, since you can't have two ends meet like this, it's kind of like you have to have a positive and a negative, but not, well, especially in this case here. This is, you can see this as a negative receiver, and so anyway, I think that's, oh, there's also this thing connected to the floor thing. So yeah, similar to this thing is something that just helps with the floors. If you have several next to each other, this bridges the gap between them. if you don't have these, like if you don't have a wall here, you can put this and that covers the gap. And well, the wall is pretty ugly. I think there's something you can do to fix that too, but if you can't put this on top, that doesn't work. Anyway, oh yeah, I should talk about these stairs, or the ladder, I guess. It's pretty straightforward. Just place it anywhere on the wall and you can get up there. And it also has sort of this similar thing where you can connect it to this, or well, it fits perfectly with this. And you may have noticed when I use this thing, this kind of takes away the need to use one of those, unless you're, okay, let's see here. So when you have that here, you don't need this over here, but if you have another one of these over here, then you need it to connect the gap between them. But yeah, not on this side. And you can see here how here it goes down and here it goes up, and that's because that's how the puzzle works. I fit them together. Yeah. Okay, I think that's everything with the floors and the gates. So I'm moving those aside for now. And part of why I'm doing that, removing the things I've used, is because it's easier to not forget things. Talked about these, or well, slightly, yeah. So this is a similar, well, this is the same as the other door. You could just put that on here. I wish they had a solid, but they just have this arrow loop window. They don't have a piece that's like without the window, and this is good for when you need to reach in. This is for when you have a ruin. So, well, let's make a ruin. When you have this, let's see here. Say you have a floor like this, and you have a window that's broken, and then you also have these two. This is just to break the end, or will not have the end look like this, because it won't work with like the normal walls. And this is actually slightly longer than one of these normal ones would be. Actually, wait. Yeah, there's another type of curved piece that I forgot to include here, and that's a window that's whole, of course. So there are 5 types of these, but basically you can see how it's basically this, but it's completed. That's the one that I forgot to put up here. But anyway, so yeah, you can't really connect this in a nice way, and that's why they made this to have this look nice. And yeah, you can see how it's a specialized piece. That this one is slightly longer, and then this is just 2 pieces that finish the whole thing. So that's what those are. Let's put this on here to complete the look. And there it is. Now, what else do we have? We have, yeah, the different types of wall connectors. This is just an end. which is good if you like, if you don't have a complete castle. If it's just, if the wall just ends, then you can have this to make it look nice. And yeah, here's that thing that I talked about to make up for the way these don't really extend all the way that they should if you wanted this to be well, the same as well, to make it proportional. And oh yeah, let's take a look at this too before we forget. This is a balcony thing that you combine with one of these. You basically just slide this in. Oh. And you can put it on the side somewhere. And that's what that looks like. But let's move to these. So you have these sort of railings. And you have these to kind of connect different ones of these. And then you have, this is the old type of Crenellations. And they used these on the ends. But then there's also the newer type that used these, and they're slightly different because you can see how they kind of go inwards a bit, and these ends go outwards a bit, so that you can't just push this in here, you have to slide it from the top, and that makes it slightly more secure. Yeah, like that. And there's also this extra long thing, and that's for when you have a tower. It's extra long to make up for this gap, and that's basically everything that this is about. It took me the longest time to figure out what this was for, because I didn't have, when I got one of these early on with my collecting, but I didn't have any of the towers, so I didn't know what I was supposed to do with this. But then I figured it out when I was just experimenting. Yeah, this is just to connect to a wall if you have if you're using one of these instead of a straight. You can just put that there, and these are way more common than these. The T sections are more common than just the straights. So basically, yeah, this is kind of a necessary thing to use these if you want to make it look good and if you have a limited array of pieces. So yeah, and these, they go up here, and on the towers, if you have 4 of these and 4 of these, you can put this on top here. Actually, let's just do this. And then on top of that, with 4 of those, you have this that just slides on top of that, and that's very simple. But you don't need this brown thing. You can actually just put this straight on like a tower, or, well, yeah, you can put that here, but it just fits with these, so you don't need this whole assembly to be able to use one of these. But it's neat. This is also something that I got early on. Didn't know what I was supposed to use it for until I saw that, oh, it goes together with this brown thing. So yeah, and the brown thing goes together with the roof. And we have this. This goes together with these. Another thing that I found early on that I didn't know where I was supposed to put this because I didn't have any of these. But you just slide that in, and you can have that sort of as a support for a tower or anything really. If you don't want to use these for extending the wall. So yeah, that's useful. Then we have this broken thing that just has these, oh, wrong way. You snap these in, like so. And they're kind of stuck there. Okay, these weren't. Usually they stick better than that. So you aren't able to just shake them off. But anyway, this time that happened. And here's a broken wall piece that just, yeah, you can put it somewhere. Like, in this case with the broken castle like this, probably here. Or something. Then, yeah, before we go to the small things there, let's do the stairs. So, when we have these stairs, they just go up there. And you can't make a wall up here because the stairs are in the way, and they're kind of limited that way. They're not super flexible. And if you're wondering why this is here, this is something that I realized just when I built my latest castle, that it's because it goes together with these, the old types of crenellation connectors. That when you have the stairs like this, and you have crenellations like this, you want to have this over there, and then that looks good. So they basically thought about that it's slightly inwards. So that's why that is. And then you can also just, well, you can put the other type here. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's probably because they wanted this to go all the way to, if we had a T-section here and a wall continuing here, they wanted this to be all the way to the side of the wall. So they had to make this little notch at the top to be able to fit it. So yeah, this is an old piece, came with the old system, and I think later when they made newer castles that didn't use these, they still kept those notches. But if you put this the other way, you just have a hole. So they kept the same mold for this, but yeah. So yeah, that's an interesting thing to think about. I suppose you could also be using these, if you have these, but you don't have any of those old ones. Because if you look closely, these are using the same old style. And these were still in use when they came up with these. So the big castle from '93, for example, where you got stairs and you got this type of crenellation, you also got these. So yeah, they kind of coexisted, the two different systems, and yeah, this goes into the little notch perfectly, as you can see. And now let's move to talked about this. Oh yeah, these little things. So if you're wondering about, let's say, okay, let's take this off again. And this. And put this on instead. This just kind of finishes the ends like this. Or if you're using one of these over here, this just does the same thing. If it ends here, you can just put that on there, or here if it ends there. So that's just extra decoration. These are used to fill in the gaps. If there's nothing over here, then you just put these in, and then it looks better because there's not a hole. And that's what that's all about. Here's a pulley system. So you have these. You connect that to the barrel. You connect that to either if you have a hook or you tie it straight to a rope. And that goes through this thing, which connects to this thing, which you put up here. So on these, you just do that and that, and you can tie the rope around here, and you can pull this up, or this thing, which I'm going to go to soon. Just finishing up with these. These are just extra decorations. You can hang up lanterns, put these on the walls. Here you can put shields. Oh yeah. And here's just for torches. So yeah, a few different examples of things you can hang up. And this is just for, this is for tournaments. It's not really part of the castle, so anyway, but it's an element that fits the theme, and it's big enough that I thought I'd include it here. But yeah, let's move to this thing, and that has to do with these rock pieces. Here's my favorite. This is wonderful for building things. You have this thing going like that, blocking the cave. Oh. Up here, you're supposed to put some floor or a trapdoor, and then you have the tower, and this is made to just fit with a tower. And then you have this, so you can pull this up. And also, on the sides here, you can extend walls. And then if you have these here, you know, these extensions, you can extend the walls here and have it be flush. And you can make the walls as tall as you like if you just have enough pieces. Also, if you don't want to make walls, you can use these to block this up. And there are 3 places where you can connect walls. So, oh yeah, and here's a cave entrance. So yeah, lots of possibilities with this thing. I have 2 of them, so yeah, makes it fun to play around with how you want to design the castle and where you want the walls to be. But there's also this thing, which is also from the castle theme, but it's different. This bottom plate I think is, well, useless for my purposes and castle building with this video, but this thing on top is actually quite wonderful, because it's like a cave, a smaller cave, that you can connect the castle to. So basically you can have a hidden entrance or a sally port to the castle using this cave, and it can just connect straight to the actual structure. And this just has so many possibilities. I love this thing. And it's also got all these holes where you can put trees and have this passage be hidden. So yeah, I think that's very nice. And now I've made a huge mess to clean up, but I hope that I didn't forget anything other than, of course, that one curved window piece. But you got a representation over here. It looks like this, but whole. And yeah, that's basically everything for this video. And it's almost 50 minutes long, so yeah, if you stayed with me, thanks. And I hope you enjoyed. It's been a video that I wanted to make for a long time, just going over all the different things. And some information that I wish I knew when I started building Playmobil a few months ago. Like, well, it's not a few months. It's a few months from a year since I started collecting Playmobil again, since I was a kid. And I've been making castles and stuff. So yeah, it's been a steep learning curve, but I hope that this video could be helpful or entertaining for those of you who have watched. And yeah, thanks for watching, and leave any comments if you have something to add or questions about things that maybe weren't so clear. And if you want to see an example of how to make a huge castle, or what you could make as a huge castle, I have a video up. That's my latest castle, which was pretty big. Fill this whole table. And also there's another video that I made going over medieval style buildings, like houses. And uses some of the same pieces as this, but and some of those are also applicable, like especially the roof pieces you could use to make the castles better. But I didn't have space for that here, so I just, yeah, I was satisfied that I covered that in that video. So so yeah, hope you enjoyed, and goodbye.